Hello, my name is Kerryoth, and today we're going to talk about the imminent release of some Warhammer 40,000 codexes. Oh my god, yes, the Warhammer community website has been updated saying that codexes are coming soon, TM. Actually, really soon, really soon. But it's not all good news. There is some good news, and what we'll do is we'll do the good news first, we'll do the bad news last. That's probably the wrong way around, because that means you'll go away with the bad news in your mind instead of the good news, but we need to talk about the bad news bit of it anyway, so it's fine. What are we going to get in the new codexes? Well, obviously we're going to get full rules for everything, so rather than just using the indexes that we have now, the codexes will replace these. Now the codexes for every individual army, and in some cases there'll be sort of codexes for armies within armies, with the example of the Death Guard are getting their own codex, which is nifty. It's cool, it's nice. But let's do the good stuff first, because the good stuff is nice sounding. I like the sound of it. There's going to be a major edition, a major gaming edition, no less, according to the Warhammer community site, in the codexes, which are army-specific stratagems, representing the unique ways in which every army in Warhammer 40,000 does battle. These useful abilities are available to your army via command points and can change the course of a battle in a moment, from sudden orbital bombardments to desperate acts of heroism. That sounds pretty funky, that sounds pretty cool. I did see some Imperial Guard players celebrating this because, is it regimental orders or commands or something like that? There was a system that the Imperial Guard had a while ago that, from what I've read and from what people have said, is similar to this, which is neat. I mean, that's going to add some nice flavour to the armies, and it's going to provide a bit of extra punch by the sounds of it, which should be fun. And of course there'll be the usual stuff in these codexes, which is stratagems, relics, warlord traits, relics especially, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing, warlord traits, tactical objectives and psychic powers for your army, and you'll be able to pick your warlord traits and psychic powers, meaning that you can actually decide what sort of characters you want your armies to have. So it sounds good. I do like the way they phrase this though. Maybe your warlord is a tactical genius, or your officer a proud duelist or inspirational leader. By combining all these options, you'll be rewarded for building the kind of army you want to play, implying that every Space Marine hero is not presented as both a strategic genius or a tactical genius and a duelist and an inspirational leader, implying that they're anything less than all three of those things at any one given time, because lol, Space Marines. Especially, come on, you know I'm right. Even in the index, not even the index, the book that you get with the 40k big box with all the Nurgle stuff and the Primaris stuff, the Captain in Gravis armour buffs everyone around him whilst being a toughness 5/6 wound close combat nutter. So I love the way that it's like, is he going to be a tactical genius or a proud duelist? No, they're just going to be all of them, you know, especially with Space Marines, they're just going to be all of them. But I like the way you phrased it anyway. So yeah, the codexes will have background and lore, army special rules, unique stratagems, relics of battle, warlord traits, psychic powers, tactical objectives, and sub-faction rules for chapters, chaos legions, and more. So that's nice. I mean, it looks like we might actually start to see a bit more variation again. It'd be really nice to see more flavour for stuff like different chapters for the Space Marines. I'd love to see the Iron Hands get, like, I don't know, some sort of even more affinity for things like vehicles, maybe having their bionics better reflected in the way the army plays, stuff like that. I'd like to see more of that. I know we did have some of that stuff in the last codex, but I'll be honest, the last codex just read like Codex Ultramarines, and I mean, not as bad as the one before it for Space Marines, obviously, but it kind of read a bit Codex Ultramarines. Oh, by the way, here are the other armies as well. They exist too. I'd like to see it more balanced. It probably won't be, but it'd be nice to see it more balanced, and I would like to see, especially Space Marine chapters, get more unique stuff. That being said, I'd really like Necron dynasties, however you want to pronounce it. I'd really like to see Necrons have lots of different fancy rules as well. That'd be nice. Especially, I think, Craft Worlds as well. I mean, they specifically mention Chaos Space Marine Legions chapters, Craft Worlds, and Necron dynasties, and even Adeptus Mechanicus Forge Worlds. That would be really cool to see that. I hope they go the distance with it, and it's not just some cheap shit where it's like, oh yeah, you get +1 to this, or, you know, you get an extra -1 for this, or something like that. I'd like to see it really fleshed out. So that's the good news. The codexes are coming. The codexes actually, from this little preview alone, seem kind of cool. There are some interesting things they seem to have added in there, and if they are giving different sub-factions of different armies, more personality, more flavour, and more tabletop presence, that would be excellent. And it certainly implies that they will. Now for the bad bit. Can you guess which codex is going to be released first? I'll give you a moment. Hang on. There you go. You've had 2 seconds. If you guessed anything other than Space Marines, you apparently don't know how Games Workshop works. Of course, Space Marines are going to get the first codex. We kind of, I say we knew. There's been no hint. There's been nothing said up until now, like actual official statement that the first codex was going to be Space Marines. But I would have been shocked beyond belief. You wouldn't have even seen me making this video today, because I would have had an actual, literal heart attack had Space Marines not been first, given the whole Primaris thing, which, let's face it, has bumped them right to the top of the list for future releases. They are going to get all of the shit, most likely, apart from Mortarion, and hopefully Typhus. I'd like to see Typhus and Mortarion, that'd be good. But, I mean, Primaris Marines, they're going to get the Stormcast treatment. We're going to see a lot of them, and if you don't like them, that's going to suck. And much though I do like them, I'm already aware of the fact that give it a couple of months and I will be absolutely fucking sick of hearing about Primaris Space Marines. Even though I intend to have an army of them, I already know that it's just going to get on my nerves. It's going to get on everybody's nerves. To the point where people are going to hate them, and that's an unfortunate side effect of trying to bring in it's essentially a new sub-faction. It's, essentially replacement Space Marines, but they're treating it as its own little thing, which you can understand why they've done it, but it's going to get old real quick. The surprising thing is that after Codex Space Marines, I was thinking maybe some sort of Xenos. That would be good. Maybe the Eldar, maybe the Necrons. I wasn't expecting to see Dark Eldar anywhere near it, but maybe even Tau. Something like that. Something other than more Space Marines. But no, it's Codex Space Marines will be swiftly followed by the Grey Knights. What? What? I'm genuinely surprised by that, although from what I've seen, apparently their changes from 7th to 8th have been minimal. It's almost like a straightforward port over for them. A couple of people I know play Grey Knights, and they essentially have said, well, that's because nothing's different. Now, obviously, I don't have any first-hand experience of Grey Knights. They could just be talking shit. But from what I've seen, Grey Knights have not really had much of a sort of world-changing overhaul. It's been pretty straightforward for them. But nonetheless, kind of surprised to see Codex Space Marines followed by Codex Super Special Space Marines. That's okay. Get them out early, I guess. And Chaos Space Marines. Now, it kind of implies there that it's going to be Codex Space Marines will be swiftly followed by the Grey Knights and Chaos Space Marines. Be nice to see both of those come out in the same month, I'll be honest. Or even the same week. Same week would be fine. Same day, whatever. Because it's going to be... It's very Imperium heavy straight off the bat, which we kind of expect, but that's still a good chunk of release time and build-up that's going to go towards just Space Marine-based shit. Well, having said that, Chaos Space Marines is more Space Marines, isn't it? So actually, it's still going to be Space Marines. They're just going to be pointy Space Marines instead. But it's going to be Chaos Space Marines, with Death Guard not far behind. And according to the FAQ, it looks like if you get Codex Death Guard, it should have all of the rules for all of the generic Chaos Space Marine stuff that Death Guard have access to. So you won't need 2 codexes. Say if you want to take a Land Raider and a Predator, for instance, you will just need the 1 codex. You don't have to have both. And I'm getting that from where they talk about Blood Angels, Dark Angels, or Space Wolves Army, and they say, you do not need to buy Codex Space Marines in order to run those forces, which implies that all of the rules relevant for each army will be just in their own book. There'll be no cross-referencing, no faffing about carrying 2 books around with you, just the 1, which is excellent. What are we going to see after that? No idea, they don't say, but it's going to be over the course of a year that they release these, and it looks like, I'm afraid to start with, if you're not a Space Marines player of some flavour, you're not going to be getting that much love. There you go. The new codexes do seem interesting from what they've said. Some of the stuff in there is good, but it is very Space Marine heavy to start off with. I would have been surprised if it hadn't been, but I suppose it's nice to see Chaos getting some love in there fairly early on. Silver linings and all that. So, anyway, there you go. It's only a quick, I say a quick video, it's bloody 12 minutes long. What the hell have I been doing? Anyway, new codex is awesome. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to watch more stuff, there's videos all over the screen. There's like a Patreon thing, a subscribe thing, and all that stuff. And now I'm going to go and stand in the freezer because it's like 40 degrees in this room and I'm dying. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Toodaloo.